Maybe you're making lots of money, but you can't understand why your startup or your 9 to 5 is making you so unhappy. Don't worry, I was once there too, but changed all of that once I started to integrate this super simple concept that I want to introduce you to. I call it the minimalist entrepreneur concept. My name is Saif. I went from doing the corporate 9 to 5 to then building a startup that I believed was my dream solution, to then quickly recognizing all I was doing was trading time for money. I now live in Egypt though, and I'm building my ventures from here, trying to find that formula of freedom based around life on my own terms. And I want to help you do the same thing. I believe I was able to do so through the minimalist entrepreneur concept that I want to introduce you to. It has three important things that you need to know about. The first thing is the idea of prioritizing, generating and creating a simple business. So most of the founders that I speak with now who are wanting to transition out of their business, they want to do so because there's a high level of complexity attached to their business. And think about it, the simpler your business is, the easier it is to measure, the simpler it is to make decisions attached to that business because small things compound. And when you prioritize building a simple business, you recognize that the most important thing to you, to creating a simple business, is just the health of that business. As an example, you might have a lot of decisions around the idea of recruitment, but because you know that you're trying to build a simple business, because you subscribe to the minimalist entrepreneur doctrine, you then recognize, I don't want to hire lots of people because it's the cool thing to do. I just want to hire people when it's the necessary thing to do. So that's the first thing. The first thing is the idea of building first for simplicity and layering things on top of that concept that only supports and only matches that objective of remaining simple. A simple way to look at this without overusing the word simple is you want to be able to understand how you make money very quickly. So whether it's looking at a financial model and being able to see what are the inputs that create the outputs, for example, cost of goods and services to generate revenue. How many team members do I need to achieve an objective? And you know what those team members are doing because you have a understanding and grasp of your business because it's a simple business. So that would be generally creating a business around 3 to 7 people maximum. Understanding what are the things that you are selling to generate revenue, whether you are selling a service or e-commerce product. You know that if you do these things, then it creates this particular outcome. So when you base building your business on simplicity by understanding the three measures that impact it, from people first and foremost to product, then the idea of retaining a understanding of how you upsell, that allows you to keep things simple at all times. So the first thing with this minimalist entrepreneur concept of the three things is keeping things simple at all times. The second point of the minimalist entrepreneur is the idea of less, not more. Most entrepreneurs, most people, even if you're working a great 9 to 5, you are making too many decisions and taking too much on whilst not focusing on the idea of decluttering, of doing less, of prioritizing a few things but doing them better. As an example, not being distracted by making more decisions or committing to less opportunities. The idea of doing less, not more, allows you to have the mind space to be able to focus on things that then matter. And you have to think about it in a very simple way. I think it was Jim Quick who said, you need to have 3 business professional things combined with 3 personal things to be able to live a balanced life. So if you have one particular area where you're thinking about too many things, then you're not able to have the balance needed to live a more meaningful life. And the idea of the minimalist entrepreneur is you being able to just have the freedom to be able to do and live the things that you really care about. So when you focus on doing less and not doing more, this starts to give you the mind space, the mind share to be able to focus on the things that matter. That might be committing to only working, for example, 7 hours of the day so you can be there for your children, whether they have football practice or whether you want to take your daughter to karate class. Or it might be on a Friday, committing to the idea of going out with your wife because she's deserving of time from you. So when you actually focus on doing less, when you prioritize the concept of focusing on a few things, but doing them more meaningfully, this creates a freedom for another area of your life that brings a balance to the person that you want to be. The more balance that you have, the more presence that you can have in different situations, the more you can prioritize the things that really matter. So focus on doing less, not more, when it comes to the minimalist concept. And now we're moving on from not just a simple business that generates you revenue, where you can understand the inputs to generate the outputs, then the idea of focusing on doing less, not more, remaining focused, not distracted. This then allows you to understand that time is the most important measure of any form of success. There's a great entrepreneur, he's called Sahil Bloom, and he talks about him being the time billionaire. And I want you to think about that particular concept. The idea of being so abundant in the idea of time that you're then able to achieve whatever you want. Most people attach success simply through the lens of making more money. Money equals success for most people. But the truly successful individual, and most importantly, the truly successful business person, recognizes that the measure of success, the true measure of success, is actually time. So how do we create more free time? You need to prioritize that and make sure it's the most important measure that indicates success. So how do you make sure that time is the foundation for everything that you do? You need to think about your day, your week, your month, your year, in a way that if you were to trade an activity in that time block, and the best way to think about a time block as an entrepreneur is an hour length of time, you want to make sure that you get the highest ROI for that particular time. So instead of thinking, okay, if I was to trade this particular hour for £1,000, that makes me successful. It's if you were to trade multiple hours for multiple thousands of pounds, what doesn't that enable you to do? What is the opportunity cost for those particular hours? And the simple way that I'm trying to articulate this is, if you gave up all of your hours in the day for endless amounts of money, you'll then have no time to prioritize your health. You had no time to prioritize your family. You'd have no time to spend time with your children or go on holidays that bring you a lot of comfort and contentment. You need to think about time, not just through a monetary lens, but through an ROI impact. The impact that's connected to the things that you prioritize in your life, like your family, like spending time learning, growing, and just being able to commit to the person that you want to be. When you do this, when you shift it from pure monetary, but see it as an ROI that's connected to all these important things like family, like presence, like time quality, like doing the things that you love, like learning, like growing, you then shift the lens from just trading time for money. And that's a really important mindset shift that you need to have as a minimalist entrepreneur. When you do these three things, when you combine simple businesses, doing less, not more, and then the idea of making sure you prioritize time, that creates a framework that creates freedom. And the more freedom that you have in your life, the more you're able to give to the people that you care about, and in particular, start building the business that gives you that life balance, that gives you the happiness that you desire. You can't become the entrepreneur that you want to be if you're stuck doing everything and anything that everyone else wants from you. You need to be able to prioritize for yourself first and foremost, because when you do that, you start living a more meaningful and present-led life. That purpose and connection creates more contentment. More contentment means that you create the legacy that you've always wanted to do as an entrepreneur or as a visionary individual in a 9-to-5 looking to escape. Implement the minimalist entrepreneur doctrine into your life to see you finally get the success that you want.